few months ago I decided to go and canvass some fellow musicians about what they thought about the referendum coming up in September. Here's what happened. Edinburgh city centre in what is now officially British summertime. What do they care, eh? So I'm heading off to Royal Oak now, the hub of Scottish folk music in Edinburgh. A lot of good musician friends of mine play there. So let's see what the banter is. See you soon.
So long that they're building a highway to carry you home. They're building a highway to carry you home. Table service. Thank you, Daniel. That's the first thing on the agenda. There will be jobs for Englishmen after independence. They said you don't travel anymore. You've got the key to a new front door. What's your thoughts on what might happen if we got a yes vote? How do you think things might change? How your materials change, or how your material might change? Well, material has been changed. I haven't done it deliberately, but I do find myself singing more patriotic songs than I might have done normally. The songs have crept back into my repertoire of the victorious humped English type. I've not done quite so much. They're actually valid historical songs. They're not completely jingoistic, I don't think. Perhaps a little jingoistic, but all patriotic songs are going to be the only were written from one point of view. As far as what's going to happen, I genuinely don't know. I would hope that things will be better. I would hope our politicians are more honest than the Westminster bunch have proved to be. I can't put my hand on my heart and say that I believe that's 100% going to be true. I just don't know, but I'm willing to take a chance. And I would rather take. I suppose if people are going to make the wrong decisions, and things aren't going to go right, at least it's us that's made it not go right. And on this occasion we can say, well, okay, we got it wrong. We don't have to blame Westminster like we have done for the last 300 years. And I know English, like you mentioned the last 300 years, but it's history, you can't change the facts. Yeah. Here we are at the Blind Poet for Bohze's Wolf session. I'm going to speak to Bohze, Larry Nicol and the wise Leathermonk. Let's see what they've got to say. Right, so I'm here to talk about what you think is going to happen if we got a yes vote and how it's going to affect musicians, music industry in general in Scotland.
Well, I mean, it's an untried thing, isn't it? So we hope that it's for better, not just for musicians, but just the way of life in our country. So I'm not a nationalist, never have been. I'm not voting for SNP, but I am voting for something that I think fundamentally will be a better thing for future generations of this country. So, but as far as the music question goes, being a musician, time will tell.
It remains to be seen, kind of thing.
No, it does indeed. So I mean, you can't go down and say, right, this is happening. We don't know. None of us know. None of us know how the country's going to go either way. But as far as the way I'm seeing it, through the years. Tory hardship in this country, especially in the 80s. And I was just a young lad then. I'm 37 now, and I think what we've got is a unique opportunity to really do something different.
All the financial whatever doesn't mean anything. It's the end of the day, if you're capable to look after yourself and be independent yourself. If you're a self-sufficient community, so you're talking about musicians, we need to be a self-sufficient community. And it's been dangled about film studios, whatever, these kind of things would make us an independent thing. At the minute, we're relying on other people's media. You put your Scotland in the thing, in the internet, there's no box for us, it's UK. So is it, that might change, but only if that sort of thing changes. They're the important things. Busting up Wellington on the end of Princess Street, melting them down, you can make about 10 good statues out of that. Do you know what I mean? He's getting the boot. So Wellington's getting the boot.
That's a good one.
So I think that these sort of things, what about putting some money on it to people who, the kids should ken who they are, and we should ken who they are if we didn't. Where's that? We've letting other people come here, have their little empires, use Scotland as a piggy bank, and that's why we're always trying to rescue Scottish culture, or the intellectuals are playing these games. But at the end of the day, Scottish culture is still there. If you want to find good bands, you could go find them. If you want to find good theatre people, you could find them.
So we're shooting this documentary, Alan, about what people think musicians think about the referendum. You got any views on it yourself? Yeah, apart from the obvious.
For a start, I joined the SNP in '79 after the 40%. I was 14-year-old, but that made my mind up. Joined the SNP, Scotland's getting shafted. 35 years later, it's still happening. But now we've got a chance to do something about it. Simple as that.
Has it changed any of your material? Because you always did quite a lot. The material was always kind of nationalist bent in the first place. Has it got more so?
Do a lot of pro-Scotland stuff, but as you know yourself, proper naturally left-leaning person. I do a lot of working class and a lot of socialist stuff as well. And can't see that changing in a hurry. We'll still have something to complain about. Global capitalism being what it is.
So I've came to Glasgow to meet Toy Control, hip hop collective, 3 generations of hip hop artists in one crew. Let's see what they've got to say. How do you think it's going to affect your material or anything like that? Has it affected your material already? Anything you're writing about that perhaps you hadn't touched on before?
I think it probably does impinge on every aspect of you, so if you're being creative, it'll touch upon it, do you know what I mean? Just inherently, you know what I mean? You start to kind of voice it through different means, definitely, but it's a big issue, man. Do you know what I mean? It's taken me quite a while to wake up to the realisation of actually how big an issue this is. I do class myself quite fortunate that it was maybe only about a year ago, and this has been on for a while now, this has all been muted for a while, but a year ago I really started to think, wait a minute man, this is stuff that my granddad and that were warning me about and talking to me about, and these situations they never thought they would be able to, they would never comprehend this happening. You know what I mean? They thought there would have to be an uprising, but to be able to change your destiny just by a vote.
That's
I mean, it's not something that, in this day and age, it's not something that's look at the state of the world, do you know what I mean? You're getting to make a decision, based purely on democracy, you know what I mean? It's a big thing.
There's more unity, I think, between the different genres, because everybody's now coming forward and there's so much support through the whole aspect of music, and everybody that's doing their own thing are all kind of coming together that way, and they're like, do you know what I mean? And that positive voice for Scotland, we're fucking born, yes, you know what I mean? And I think it kind of transcends what maybe fucking people that are they don't know what they're going to vote, you know what I mean? But I think if you've got a lot of good backing, got a lot of fucking people that've got a good fucking head on them and they know what they're talking about, do you know what I mean?
It's Alex
Good
Salmon.
supporting that.
Sorry, Alex. Busy.
Well, I think like I can see as far as a lot of the economic arguments and you know who's going to fund health services and pensions and are people going to invest, none of that we're going to see until it actually happens. We'll have to take that chance if we want to see it happen. And by the same token, we just can't see, but we do know what we're going to get if we stay with Westminster. They've told us what we're going to get, you know, and it's just not going to get any better. We're losing the health service to a large extent. To a large extent, we're losing what do you call it, welfare state. It's just getting worse. I mean, poor people are getting poorer, and in Scotland we can't afford that. You know, we've got depressed people who are getting the benefits got committing suicide. You've got kids not able to afford to eat properly. That's all. That's not made up. That's all happening. That's young now, and I think if we're looking after ourselves, we've got more of a chance to deal with that. Purely because the entire responsibility for the budget and who gets the money comes down to ourselves. That's just, to me, that makes common sense. You know.
Over the head, over the
I think most of the folk that are voting yes are not doing it for a Braveheart sort of idealism that people down south are talking about. We're not painting our faces blue and white. Well,
We might if you have to.
well, you never know, but I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure if we have to, we will.
but it's not like that.
It's not about that.
It's never been about that. It's been about our way of life and what we like to protect as our identity, you know. We have got a great identity. I'm very proud to be a Scotsman. I'm sure a lot of other folk are proud to be for this country, and we've got a lot of good to offer, not only our own people but the world in general. I mean, look what we've given the world as far as inventors, engineers, scientists, you name it. Not only that, music.
And musicians,
Some great music, some fantastic music. We have the humble bagpipe.
The humble bagpipe.
The humble bagpipe.
They call it humble.
Nah, well, I wouldn't call it humble either, but you know.
Well, that was invented by the Greeks, but we know
Aye.
Are you ready for the country before it's time to go? Are you ready for the country before it's time to go?
Do you think they come, if it came to the point where we've got a yes vote, do you think that would change your situation any as being a musician, for instance, living in Edinburgh, playing about the pubs in Edinburgh? Do you think there was more opportunities than we had before?
I think it very possibly would. If you look at the situation, for example, in Dublin, Dublin's not answerable to anybody but itself, and it's got a huge live music scene, huge, especially with the traditional stuff. You know, there's guys there who make a pretty decent living at it without being big famous names. You know.
You think that's maybe got something to do with more money being spent on culture and things like that in Ireland than it is getting spent here in Scotland at the present moment?
I think that's definitely a part of it. Definitely a part of it.
Apologies for that. I think as well the like the role of the artist in the thing is always underplayed by Westminster, but you notice that's because they don't have artists to draw from really, no in Scotland at least, you know what I mean, because the thing about artists that's so underplayed these days, and I always try to remind myself is, like, see the politicians or scientists or philosophers or theologians or whatever, like, it's art that moves them to action, you know what I mean? It's art that gets them into what they're doing. That's what inspires them to do things. So the role of the artist like us is more to get people thinking about it and move people whatever way they're gonna go. And
you think we'll have a Scottish Parliament will have a more social conscience than the Westminster model anyway?
I think so. I don't even think they've got more of a social conscience. They've got less far to spread the butter. Yeah. And it's just quite that simple. They're only looking after 4 million people instead of looking after 50 million. That's got to be easier somehow. No?
Yeah.
Again, it could be completely wrong. Yeah. And I think just because we're small doesn't necessarily mean we're not any good. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not banging the drum for Sandland and the SNP. It's not what it's about. I have voted SNP.
It's not about him. If we get independence,
the idea is there, and I applaud him for what he's done to get this far and start getting Westminster's feet itchy. I really like that. I like what he's done, and I also like they've brought in free prescriptions in the country. That's huge savings for people that are needing medicine. They've got free education for higher education, universities. Folk from Fife in Edinburgh that are commuting every day over and back and forth the bridge, they scrapped the tolls. I was very in favour of that.
I don't want to sound, I'm putting myself at risk here of sounding like some kind of bigot, but most of the cultural organisations in Scotland have got a boss that comes from the southeast of England, and that's all very well for art galleries and so on, but for traditional arts and so on, how can they possibly know anything about it when it's not their background? They can't really empathise with it unless they've been in Scotland for a good few years, a good wee while to get into it and come to understand it.
I think like the aspect of the unity that Brian mentioned is quite powerful because it makes me think, like our music and the way that we are, there's just this gravity of London always on the peripheral of everything that we do. We've got to make creative decisions based on stupid things, you know what I mean, that are the day with London, which follows America. And like up here you already see things like the Samas. There's an industry growing that's specific to artists up here that doesn't cater and doesn't feel the need to cater, and I think that could just be unleashed if we were our own country. It's not about being separate, it's about being part of the whole world and not seeing it through the lens of, London, which is just its own wee planet anyway.
The BBC is run by an English company. It's not British, it's not Scottish, it's English.
Yeah.
And it always will be, no matter what. And they decide what they put out. They've also decided what they don't put out. There's a lot of Europe, they covered Margaret Thatcher's funeral so extensively, but they did nothing about Tony Benn.
That was
They never covered Tony Benn's funeral at all. Right? So that tells you what they think about people who say, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. We as Scottish, I would love to die knowing that I've got independence in my country. Simple as that.
But it's also the fact that the Westminster system is like such an old system, and it was built for a different era, different time, and that a new Scottish Parliament would be built for the 21st century and for the purposes of the 21st century.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Rather than just a size thing, sizist thing.
Yeah, I would hope so. Again, remember most people that I'm hoping that the modern parliament doesn't mean that they're going to continue to make decisions on the shape of the building and have it in. That is, it's one of these particular bad ones. But I think it does need modernised, and they say, Westminster would argue they have modernised it, and are continuing to. But again, I think we have the opportunity to begin a government for this country from the bottom up, and we should take it.
She the leader of the dance, I fearful followed on. She led me on her merry way, and the golden boy looked on.
It's only when people realise we are just a wee country. We can't be playing up there with, you know, these huge countries. It's just ridiculous, you know what I mean?
We're not going to be in the G8, are we?
Exactly, I mean, all this sort of playing around with that, it's just, it's meaningless, you know, until people in Scotland feel wealthier, and we're a wealthy nation, so there's no problem here. We're an ideal country for this kind of changes, sort of progressive changes that other countries could look at and say, well, look what they're doing there, sort of thing. And we've got to go around and look at what everybody else has already done. What they've done in Europe over the last 20, 30, 40 years environmentally, and what they do in other independent countries in the Pacific and places like that. They'll try to get their culture back and try to, you know, change it from imperialist models and stuff like that. I just, you know, it's a lot of work, and the work's already been done. It's just about people making the time to find that stuff and start using it.
I mean, I've lived under Tory rule, Labour rule, all the rules that have been gone since the way back since I was a laddie at school. And he went to school with my son, so you know, it's like I've lived all that. Maggie Thatcher, the only good thing Maggie Thatcher done for me was back in 1984. She made it easy for me to go self-employed, and that was the only thing she ever did for me. She did nothing else. Right? I remember the miners' strike. I remember all the times the hardships. I remember not being able to go to work because you couldn't go past the picket line, because if you did. But I also remember my kids needing food and my wife wondering where the money was coming from, and the three-day week and all that crap. That, I hope that never ever happens for Scotland if we get independent.
I don't think we're selling them out. I mean, I think we have a unique opportunity, and once in a lifetime opportunity, to devolve the union. And if we don't do it now, we'll never happen. It will never happen.
It's not for us. It's not for us. It's for the next generation. It's for the next generation.
It's for the bairns.
And my children's children.
You know,
it's for these people to be able to stand up and go, I'm Scottish.
But I do,
I'm proud of where I am.
and I do feel sorry for the industrial towns of England, Northern England, because they've got spanked just like we got spanked, and the Welsh as well. You know what I mean? And Northern Ireland.
We're guaranteed that if we stay with Westminster, the next 10 years are going to be extremely difficult. You know, and I think they're going to get particularly difficult for Scotland.
So you think the no campaigns will be on the better the devil you know kind of argument?
I think absolutely that's what they're talking about.
Will pull me through to the other side. Will pull me through to the other side.
So here we are, a week to go, and the three leaders of the main political parties just came up to Scotland yesterday to tell us the error of our ways and to promise us increased powers if we go for the no vote. Miliband, Cameron and Clegg. Sounds a bit like a shit prog rock band if you ask me. Anyway, they've offered these things as if we were some battered wife with our chocolates and extra pin money to come home. Don't know what you think about that. I know what I think about that. After canvassing my fellow musicians, I wasn't looking for everyone to say yes, but to tell you the truth, I didn't find anyone saying no. Maybe that's my social circle, who knows. I'm sure there are a few out there, but they were very quiet about it. Anyway, vote yes, it's the only option.
So vote yes, for the bush to the brick, the stick to the stain, the wood to the hood, the blood to the bane.
Harmonies and chaos once again.